You are listening to the Life Coach Business Podcast, episode number 78. Welcome to the Life Coach Business Podcast, a show for coaches who are ready to up-level their business and take their impact, leadership, and results to a whole new level. If you're ready to start taking powerful action and become the leader your business needs in order to grow and thrive, this show is for you. I'm your host, Amanda Karlstad, certified life and business coach and entrepreneurial leadership expert. Now let's get down to business. Hello and welcome, everyone. So glad to have you with me today. Thanks for joining. Welcome to any of my new listeners. I'm excited to have you here. I have another very special guest on today's show, my client, Robin Hanover. And to give you a little bit of background, Robin is a recent graduate of my Business Accelerator program, which is called The Mastermind, which for those of you who may be new to my work, this is my foundational program that helps coaches go from wherever they are today in their business to where they want to go. And so for most of my clients, that means building to that first six figures and beyond. So this program is extremely foundational for anybody that is trying to build a coaching practice. Because not only does it help clients gain the momentum they need in their business, but it also really positions them for those first six figures and beyond. And so for many of my clients, the work that we do in this program, which I will say is very intense, but the work that we do in this program is highly customized to each client. So one of the things that's important to me is that I am able to work very closely with every client of mine. And so I do work very closely with every client that's in this program so that I can help ensure that we're building a business that's in full alignment to them. And that also sets them up for success, like I said, in the short term, but also in the long term, so that they're in a position to scale their business when that time is right. And it's also really important to understand that we do this in a way where how I've really structured this program is we do it in a way so that that growth and that scalability is also sustainable over the long term. And I think that's really a really important part of this process. So not only are we creating accelerated growth, we're also creating, and I really don't say this lightly, we're really setting the stage for multi-figure growth. And I really do believe that we have the ability in this process to do million-dollar work. And so what I've experienced is that if you are in the coaching industry, if you are trying to build a highly successful practice, whatever that looks like for you, I want you to know that I've developed this program with the highest level of intention. And I truly believe the work that we do in this program will get you there. All right, so I'm excited to bring you our conversation today because you're about to hear how Robin left her director level role within 3 months of starting the program. You're also going to hear how she quadrupled, yes, you heard that right, how she quadrupled her salary within months of starting the program. And not only that, but how she paid for the entire program within 1 week of starting. And so I'm really excited for you to hear this conversation because you're going to hear about how we were able to build an overall brand that is in full alignment with Robin, that is in full alignment with the work that she really wants to be doing in the world. And the other great thing about this is that now she's really in a position to scale her business. So this is a very powerful conversation and I'm excited to bring it to you. So with that, let's dive in. All right, everyone, I'm super excited to bring you another very special guest on today's show. I'm excited to bring you my client, Robin Hanover. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Amanda. So awesome to be here. So happy to have this conversation with you.
Yes, I'm so excited. So this is, before we dive in, I just want to say this was something that when we originally started working together, last year in 2020, you said, like, I want to be on your podcast.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And here we are.
Yes.
How fun is this?
Yes.
How fun is this? I just want to acknowledge that.
Yes. And not only did I say I wanted to be on your podcast, I wanted it to be on your podcast before my 55th birthday, which is May coming up. And I was like, nope, that's it. That's my bucket list.
There we
And
go.
we're getting it done.
We
So
are getting
excited.
it done. I love it. Well, welcome. I'm super excited.
Thank you.
So before we dive in, why don't you just share with us, tell us a little bit about who you are, give us an introduction of who you are, who you coach, the type of work you do, that sort of thing. We'll start there.
Yeah. So I'm a wealth manager, financial planner. I've been in the business since 1987. And I kind of created a side, I don't want to say a side project, but a side business that correlates with my wealth management practice. And that is the coaching aspect of it. And it's really, the goal is to reach other people, that mainly those in that 30 to maybe 40, 50-year-old range, that are either couples or individuals that are really trying to create a strategy for their financial life. And specifically with couples, they're coming together with two separate beliefs about money. One's usually a spender, one's a saver. And I really kind of create that roadmap and strategy for their family, but also honor who they are as individuals. And then with the individual clients that I work with, it's usually clients that are making pretty decent salaries, but they don't show it in their bank account and they can't figure out why. So they have drama around creating a cash flow budget, whatever that is for them. And so you kind of take a deeper dive and look at what's preventing them from reaching their goals.
So good. Such important work. And we're going to get into that in just a minute. So tell us a little bit about how you came into coaching. I think that's an interesting story, your journey with coaching and what really brought you here today.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know my full story. My full story started, as a true Gen Xer. I've been working since the age of 12, I think, babysitting. And when I was in college, I always worked through school. I got with a financial firm and became a stockbroker. And this was in 85, 86, right before the 1987 market crash. So I was actually a stockbroker during the crash. And fast forward, the crash happened. You see all the behaviors that, the fear, everything, the chaos that created. And it was always something that was very intriguing to me. And I got out of the financial world for a bit and really dove into wellness coaching because I really felt called to that with my own personal health and my dad having type 1 diabetes. And growing up with that was very, challenging, and really kind of looking at health as a holistic thing, and then incorporating the financial piece with it as well. So I learned as I was doing my coaching practice, which I did for about a good 15 years, money was always coming up. Money was always, it was a stressor for a lot of people. They didn't feel like they had enough, or if they did have enough, they felt it was going to go away. They felt it was going to lose it. They were, they saw their parents go through, some financial difficulties, and they brought that stress on, which really got into their health issues as well. So I was approached in 2009, right after 2008, the second market big crash, and to get back into the financial world. And women were needed and still are needed. And I jumped back in, got all my license, got all my certifications, and really focused this time on holistic financial planning and the holistic strategies that come into one's financial life and dealing with money. And the beauty of it is that I was able to incorporate my wellness coaching technique and tools in with my financial practice. So I kind of call it my yin and yang. And then being in the financial world, a lot of it hadn't changed much, and it's still today very male dominated, and really trying to encourage other women to jump into the business, but also being okay with speaking their truth and really honoring who they are as far as, okay, if you are holistic and you want to take a look at a bigger picture, not just the financial strategy, but how behaviors come into play when
Yeah.
making a decision.
Yeah.
And it's usually fear, or it's usually greed, or something in between, but fear is a big one. And so, you know, I started this coaching program thanks to you. I've been wanting to put all of these ideas pen to paper. And that's when I found you, because I wanted someone to help me actually tactfully put it all together
Yeah.
into specific programs. So
Yeah.
that's what we did. Yeah.
Amazing. And they're amazing, I have to
Thank
say.
you. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about those programs in
Yeah.
terms of like who are your ideal clients? How do you work with them? That sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think that's, a tribute to you too, because when we first started, I was kind of,
Mhm.
because I am an entrepreneur at heart. I've always had
Yeah.
my own business. So, I've always worked with business owners, and they're still my clients. And I always have a knack for business. I was brought up with it. I'm from a
Mhm.
family of entrepreneurs, so it was in my DNA. So I work with, my main focus is W-2 people who actually want to start their own business, yet
Mhm.
they need to create that financial strategy to get them to that place.
Mm.
Instead of just quitting your job and starting, you got to have a
Mhm.
foundation. So
Mhm.
where you actually take it to another level,
Mhm.
I kind of start with that W-2 person who's like, you know what? I'm really not, happy where I'm at, and my
Mhm.
soul is crying for something else. So let's figure out how to get you there
Mhm.
financially and be
Yeah.
smart about it. So those are my individuals that I work with. And then the other ones that I work with individually are the ones that make quite a bit of money, yet they struggle at the end of the month having that positive cash flow.
Yeah.
Or they're struggling of the constant fear. And I can speak as a woman, I'm going to
Mhm.
end up in a trailer, or
Right.
it's very common. And
Yeah.
that trailer fear of, not having enough. And so
Yeah.
we look at that. And what I love is that I combine a very step by step practice for the individuals that I work with, and taking a look at everything that they have, but also really diving deep into their mindset and really
Mhm.
what's holding them back.
Yeah.
And it's usually amazing what comes up, and it's usually pretty fixable. And it's just a matter of applying some of the tools that I've learned through the coaching work that I've done, not only
Yeah.
through my own journey, but with you. And then the last group is just touches my soul, working with couples
Yeah.
and coming together. And I just know, being married for 21 years, that there's always something that comes up from a financial standpoint.
Right.
Like I said before, one's usually a saver, one's a spender, and how to actually, really create a roadmap and still
Mhm.
be that individual and honor your boundaries and who you are, yet not having one way or another way of having it. This has to be this way. And we're not going to get there if we don't work together. And there's different ways of approaching it. And it's usually going back to what you were brought up with and what you were taught or not
Mhm.
taught about money.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that conditioning is so, I mean, as we know, right? Like even
yeah,
for us building businesses, I talk about this all of the time. In my work, we look at that all of the time is what is that conditioning? How is that playing out in our lives? How is that really manifesting for us?
right.
Because the truth is, I always say in so many cases, it's almost like our 7-year-old selves are in the driver's seat, even
Yep.
at 55, even at
Yep.
41, right? Like it's amazing how strong that conditioning really, really is and sticks with us. So I think it's
Yep.
just such important work, and especially when it comes to money. So I'd love for you to share because I know in working with you, Robin, when you said the work with the couples that really touches your soul, and I remember you sharing on a couple of occasions about a couple that you were working with that came to you and was on the brink of divorce.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And by the end of your work, they were they had made it through, right? Like you
Yep.
had been able to help them and really facilitate that growth as a couple so that they were they were in a much better place before.
Yep.
Can you speak a little bit about that? Because I just think that that's such a powerful example of, having a container like you do, where you're working with clients, like you said, in that step by step, but also not only just the numbers piece of it, but the mindset. I'd love for you
Yes,
to share a little bit more about that.
sure. A lot of my work on that other side, as far as with the financial, consultant piece, I come across people who have been divorced. And
Mm,
I can't tell you how many times I've had someone say to me, I wish I knew you before I got divorced, or I
mm,
wish I had you and my husband had you before we made that decision.
yeah.
And in this particular couple, and actually there was two couples I'm thinking of specifically, but they were working with a therapist, which I highly recommend. And
Mhm.
that's kind of something that I always, when I have my consult with my clients with a
Mhm.
couple, I always recommend, okay, I will do the work, but you also need to be in therapy as well. So
Mhm.
my work is in collaboration with a therapist and with a marriage family counselor or whatever. And it's so important because they dive deep on another level, some of the past things where I'm focused on the money piece.
Mhm.
And money is usually a trigger for some of the other things. And so, in the work that I had with the couple, that's kind of what we found out is that, and ironically, one of them was married prior, and there was a financial issue there.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
meaning that there was a scarcity mindset. And she brought it in. She didn't work through she didn't work through her stuff. And she
Mhm.
brought it into this marriage, and it was still coming back up. So I think a lot of it was really taking a look at, this belief that it's going to happen again for her,
Right.
and that she felt powerless and and what her husband was doing, but a lot of it
Mm.
was really her own work. And with the two of them together, we created a family financial mission statement that was really
I
key.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not just about a plan, because I can do a financial plan and say, here you go, see you later, bye.
Yeah.
But it's just a piece of paper with graphs and charts and all of these recommendations.
Mhm.
But if you don't
Mhm.
have that solid foundation in your marriage, a financial plan isn't going to do you any good.
Right.
The plan and the foundation needs to be that you have to create that communication and actually have those same goals, but from a belief system of how to
Mhm.
actually get there.
Right.
And the other part is the tactical piece, but this is the emotional piece.
Yeah.
And what happened is that he was actually brought up where, the more you had, the meaning that there was some debt involved, it was something that he deserved. He worked hard.
Mm.
He was able to buy the car that he wanted. He was able to buy all of these other things because he worked hard and this is what he deserved. And so
Mm.
he was brought up with that mindset. And then she was brought up in a scarcity environment where her parents were struggling.
Yeah.
So think about that. Just combining the two alone, you
Oh,
got
yeah.
two, yes,
Yeah.
big, complete opposite mindsets. And it caused a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
So we were able to get on the same page. We were able to create this mission statement where moving forward, we did get down and dirty and looking at the cash flow,
Mhm.
and people ask, well, do you combine accounts? Do you keep them separate? It's really what works for the couple.
Right.
Everyone's different.
Yeah.
And I think the key thing is honoring your own individual beliefs and really challenging those beliefs to see if they're still serving you and if it's
Mhm.
still serving you in your marriage. And if not, what can we do instead?
Right.
And having that mission statement or for your family from a financial standpoint, it just created that, like, it took everything away, meaning, okay, we're on the same page now. And it doesn't matter. They were married for quite a while.
Yeah.
And now we can move forward. And
Yeah.
they both signed it. We did a DocuSign. These are things we set up. There's emergency spending for X and
Yeah.
Y. And so it was great. It was a great relief for her who needed some security.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it was a great relief for him knowing that his wife was feeling secure and she wasn't going to be, he had his own independence as well still.
Right.
But realizing that he was spending not from a deserving standpoint because there was a void that was
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
that we uncovered.
So good.
So, yeah, so that
So
was
good.
just one of the pieces. And then I had a newly married couple, complete opposite.
Complete. Yes. Different.
complete opposite. And we're like, what? And it's, they were like, oh, one would pay for dinner and the other one would pick up the next time, and they were married. So it was almost like they were still in their dating phase and they didn't know how to transition into this joint couple and how to still kind of honor their own boundaries around finances, yet kind of start coming together. And so that was fun too. So
Yeah, no, I love it. It's so amazing to hear these stories. I love hearing client success stories of clients because it's just such a testament to the power of coaching, the power of the work, the power of the program, right? The resources, the tools, everything that you're doing. So good. So let's talk for a little bit, Robin. When you and I started working together, tell us a little bit about where you were at, just kind of mentally with your business, like what was happening, what wasn't happening in your business, and what made you really decide, okay, this is something I need to do.
Right. Well, I think at the time, so my husband and I had moved from Napa, California to Naples, Florida, and I took a position just to kind of get my feet wet here in the community and just kind of, see where I wanted to go. And like I said, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So this was a big step for me to kind of actually take a W-2 job and be in a managing director position. And I was brought on to create a department, a financial planning department, an insurance department, which I did. And I loved because I love creating. And I think as I went along, and it was a great experience, but it was a great experience for me because I realized that I needed to go back to where my soul was really talking to me. And I kind of felt like I was staying small in my job and that I wasn't putting myself out there enough to do the work that was really something that was deep and important to me. And I knew it was the weirdest thing. Like when we moved to Florida, I wanted to be closer to my mom, who's 85. But it was also, there was just something I couldn't explain that I knew that there was something bigger. And I didn't know what it was. I knew that I had been working with couples and doing the coaching all along because that's just how I roll with my clients. And they kind of get it whether they like it or not. But I think it was something that I really wanted to put together into a formal program.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'm a huge believer in coaching and I've always had a coach. And I think I reached out to you because I wanted help not only creating the tactical approach for the programs, but almost like getting what was in my head down on paper and really focused. And I tend to be that all or nothing type of person. So I wanted to make sure that I had someone to keep me on point. And to keep me focused on what the goal was. And I wasn't really clear on who I wanted to serve. I just had a feeling. It was just a gut feeling. And as a result of you and I working, much more came uncovered. Which I think I knew that there was some, I call them cobwebs on my own work that needed to be cleaned up. And part of this was my own belief of you have to work hard in order to succeed. And I was always able to make it to that first 6 figures. And then I hit the ceiling. And I didn't realize until you and I actually worked together that it was my own limiting belief of if I go above the 6 figures, I'm going to get sick or I'm going to, it'll interfere with my relationship and I won't have time, all of these things, which kept me exactly where I was. And it was just a wonderful thing to, it was painful to kind of take a look at it, but a wonderful thing of like, oh my gosh, thank you. Because I knew there was one thing that was holding me back.
I remember that when we got to that place, it was like, I could almost like physically see it. When we got to that point. And I think that was a really, as with anything in this process, I mean, it's something that you will inevitably go through. I feel like this journey of entrepreneurship, no matter what type of niche you're in or the type of work that you're doing, it really is it's about the process and it's about uncovering these layers and how we create these, I call them, invisible glass ceilings around ourselves, right? Based on the conditioning maybe, or the perceptions that we have that, in so many cases, it's just false, right?
Right.
There's not even any merit to any of it, but we can't always see that. That's why
Right.
I believe working with a coach is so important. So when you think about like our work together, because we uncovered a lot of deep things, what do you think were some of the biggest transformations that you went through, both from a business standpoint, but also, again, emotionally, just internally, kind of
Mhm.
stepping into that next level? Because there's really, I believe, two parts to this.
Yes, very much. And I think a couple things. I mean, aside from, the how of actually putting
Mhm.
together the program, that really wasn't it. And it was really about once we kind of uncovered one of those limiting beliefs, they almost kind of started coming.
Like,
It was almost like an onion, right? That kind
yeah,
of like
yes,
just sort of
yes,
started unleashing itself. And
yes.
I realized, Amanda, that one of my key ones was being visible. And
Yeah.
I am actually a true introvert, believe it or not. I'm an outgoing introvert, which I normally say is like, I can go out and do what I need to do and have fun, but just need a little bit of that downtime. And I
Mhm.
do like being
Mhm.
behind the scenes and kind of that nerd factor. And,
Yeah.
I love being in charts and graphs and all kinds of stuff, but I also like being in small group or that one on one. And I
Yeah.
thrive with that.
Yep.
But being out there in the world, is a little scary and still. And I think too, as a Gen Xer, that whole social media thing and still
Mhm.
trying to figure that piece out. I mean, we just kind of did everything old fashioned, old school,
Yeah.
pick up the phone and build those relationships and organic, referrals. But I think now, especially now with this past year with COVID, it really forced me to look at the visibility issue for me and how can I serve on a
Mhm.
bigger level.
Yeah.
And that what you helped me realize is that it's not about me. It's
Mhm.
about the people that I'm trying to reach. It's about
Yeah.
the people that need my services and the people that are
Yep.
dying for someone with my expertise from the knowledge standpoint, yet can
Mhm.
help them with some of these behavior things or these beliefs that they are stuck and they don't
Right.
realize it. And it's, believe it or not a lot of people in my industry are doing this. And so we're kind of starting a momentum here, and I'm super
Mhm.
excited. I
Yeah.
think deep down, I think there are a lot of people in my industry that are feeling like that round hole square peg kind of a thing,
Mhm.
banging
Mhm.
their head against the wall, feeling really not fulfilled
Yep.
in the traditional sense in the financial industry, but yet we know that it's evolving.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to be able to be on this cusp of taking it to a whole nother level
Mhm.
with
Yep.
clients and what's needing to be happening in the world, especially after this year.
Oh,
So
100%. Well, and one of the things that I always think about when I bring on new clients is I'm always, of course, we're looking at the present, right? We're looking at what's kind of the state of things, where are we at right now, right? What do we need to do? Kind of what's next. But I'm also always in the back of my mind, and you know this, I'm always thinking big picture. I'm always thinking beyond where we're at, right? And really thinking about the idea of where you really fit in terms of creating this movement, right? And creating, like you
mhm.
said, like being able to serve at a level that helps as many people as you can, right? Like that's so important. I think now more than
Yeah.
ever, our world needs coaches. Our world needs
Hmm.
people like you to help them navigate these types of situations, right? To
Right.
navigate both the internal mindset piece of this and also the numbers. And so, one of the things that I love thinking about and I love as part of my work too is just being able to really create that expanded vision for my clients and really help them really just step into that, right? And we do that by overcoming all of the inner gunk that's there,
Yeah.
all of the stuff that, like the conditioning, like the belief systems, all of the things that we don't even see on the surface that are literally impacting the ability to step into that next level. So, talk a little bit about where your business is at today. So, we went through a lot of a lot of that gunk, a lot of that kind of came up through the process. Obviously, from a business standpoint, you built an entire new brand, essentially, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if we were to
Mm-hmm.
go into all that went into that, there was a lot. And by the way, it's a beautiful brand. I
Thank
love it.
you.
So
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. So tell us about where your business is at today.
Yeah. So, I think with the work that you and I did, you gave me that encouragement to leave my managing director position. And,
Yes.
you know, I think one of the most important things is I realized that it was riskier for me to stay
Mm-hmm.
than it was for me to leave.
Yeah.
And knowing that I needed to be serving on a higher level and that it's not about me, it's about the people that I'm here to
Mm-hmm.
serve, it was almost like instantaneously. I remember, as soon as I gave my notice, I remember that couple called me the next day out
Yeah.
of the blue,
Yeah.
and they needed, some
Mm-hmm.
financial coaching. And so off we went to the races. And then as soon as I opened up that space, I had 5 clients within a matter of 6 weeks
Yeah.
without anything. They just
Yeah.
came.
Yeah.
So I knew it was the right time. And then again, kind of cleaning out my own cobwebs. And then, and working with you, I also hired a website designer
Mm-hmm.
because you and I got really clear and really focused on, okay, who it is, my ideal client, what is it that I want to be? How do I want to
Mm-hmm.
show up in the world? And between the both of you, she created this amazing website that I've
Yeah.
just, and people say, yes, you don't need a website, which I totally believe because I was working with clients before it.
Yeah.
To me, it's just an outward pour of like my love and reaching the
Mm-hmm.
clients on a deeper level. Because now that it's launched, which we literally just launched a week
Yeah.
or two ago, clients are going in or prospects are going in saying, oh my gosh, I feel so calm and I feel such a
Yes.
relief. And I found my person
Yeah.
because we're able to have this conversation about money in a peaceful way, and
Yeah.
that there's no drama, there's no stress, there's no nothing. So I wanted to create a place where people could go and feel like they just want to stay, like a bubble bath. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yet create this very elegant, very professional, but not stuffy in my
Mm-hmm.
traditional financial world that I've been coming from.
Right.
And so it's definitely very edgy, yet really represents, I think, the movement that you and I had talked
Mm-hmm.
about.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, really just launching that a couple weeks ago, it's crazy because the other thing besides being on your podcast, one of the goals that I set
Yeah.
was I wanted to, after you and I worked through the program, I was like, all right, well, if I can do this, I want to have So I'm actually now I'm going to be on 5 podcasts between now and June.
Amazing.
So I think for me, not jumping into the social media per se and
Mm-hmm.
just really honoring my
Mm-hmm.
authentic self and not, you know, feeling like I have to, but what can I do to become more visible and to get my message out there? And
Right.
I love talking about it. And so I think being on, different podcasts and really sharing my story, I
Mm-hmm.
think is powerful. And
100%.
yes, and those are the kind of the things that I've been working on just within the past couple of weeks is really just
Mm-hmm.
getting on that and just talking about it as much as I can. And I think the more people that hear it, they're going to be like, oh, yes, finally, someone that
Right.
has the expertise that can combine everything that I need.
Right.
So,
So
yeah.
we didn't even talk about a very important part of this process, which you just mentioned, which I would love for you to share a little bit about, is the fact that you actually left your
Yes.
role during
Yes.
during this process. So,
Yes.
which, I have to say for a lot of my listeners, that's a really big deal. Like a lot of my clients, a lot of my listeners are many of them, not all of them, but many of them are working in a corporate job or have some type of professional career that they've worked very hard to get to a certain level in their life, right? They've worked very hard to climb perhaps the ladder yet it's not that fulfilling work that they really know they're meant to do. It's not the calling that
Mm-hmm.
they know they're really
Mm-hmm.
here for, right? And so I'd love for you to talk about that because I have worked with many, many clients that are in that position where they're working in a professional, in a corporate role. And the goal is to eventually leave that, right? Or in many cases, as soon as possible, I should.
Right.
It tends to
Right.
be, right? I would love for you to share what your journey was there because I think it's really powerful.
Oh man, I think it was a combination of, it was a process of knowing that I needed to be serving on a higher level. So the process
Okay.
actually started several months prior, even before I hired you. And it
Mhm.
was really thinking outside the box. Okay, I knew I wanted to incorporate my coaching practice and start it again. How could I do it? And it was a great opportunity. I had a great job, very high level director
Mhm.
position. And, you know, I've always had the belief of abundance, and I've gotten to, there's been times in my life where I've had that scarcity feeling of
Mhm.
like, oh gosh, no, I can't give it up, the
Mhm.
benefits, all of that. Well, there's so many strategies that I've been able to help clients kind of navigate through. And it really was just kind of like taking a step back and, realizing when I got to the point that my soul was no longer, and it wasn't just about being happy, because I think you can be happy. Happiness is a choice, I do believe,
Right.
and you can be happy. And I was happy before I left, meaning
Mm.
I made that decision out of pure happiness because I realized that it would naturally come. And, I think a combination of, and even hiring you, I remember I was like, holy crap, this is a
Yeah.
big commitment.
Yeah.
But remember what happened? I
Yeah.
actually had your entire program paid for within a week.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of
It was
how I
amazing.
operate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I operate. And I kind of teach that, to people. It's like, okay, let's work backwards and figure out how
Mhm.
we can get to this point. So, in order to, I knew what I needed to make. So, I kind of started the process and laying that foundation before
Mhm.
I made that jump. It wasn't there 100%. I'll tell you that right now. So, it was
Yeah.
definitely a leap of faith. But like I said earlier, I would actually lose money by not going for my goal
I
and
love it.
creating my practice.
Yeah.
And, that's where I can really help people kind of, okay, we're just in this scarcity mindset. And once you make up
Mhm.
your mind, it's so true how it just starts to flow. It
Yeah.
really is. I know we've heard it over and over again
Yep.
about, law of attraction and all of that, but it's really true. And because
Mhm.
when you're in this creative space and you let go of this angst of working for someone else and not having your soul be fed,
Yeah.
and once you release it, it's so amazing what happens.
So
So,
amazing. Yeah, it was
yeah,
so amazing to witness that. That I remember when you posted about that you had literally like within that week, that 7 days, it was
yeah,
just it was so amazing just to see that. So kudos
yeah.
to you on that.
Thank
That was
you.
huge. And kudos to you for making that decision. That is not, I know, an easy decision for most people. And it does require a leap of faith, like you said. And it's almost like I shouldn't even say almost. It is the burning of the boats type thing, right? Where we're taking away that other option. And I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of power in doing that. There's a lot of power in making that committed decision and saying this is what I'm going to focus on. And you know what? Following through on that. I think that's a very, very powerful action. So from a revenue perspective and kind of a money perspective, so tell us a little bit, you don't have to share exacts. We don't need to know that, but correct me if I'm wrong, you were able to, was it quadruple?
yeah.
So let's talk
Well,
about that for a moment, right?
yeah, it's funny. I mean, and also too, just to touch on it, there was a pivotal moment because
Yeah.
getting back to giving my notice. I mean, you and I had kind of talked about, oh, it was like by the time the program was over,
Yeah.
and you and I
Yeah.
started in August, and so fast forward into February, maybe
Yeah.
by February.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was it was basically October. I think I shocked you and shocked most of,
Yeah.
my friends and clients. But I think there were certain things that were happening with the transition of my firm. And there was just way too many signs. And I
Yeah.
was so present in what I wanted to do and paying attention to what was coming at me
Right.
that I knew it was the right time. It was,
Yeah.
to me, it was a no-brainer. It was just like, okay, I'm paying attention. Too many things are lining up, and this is the time just to take the leap.
Love it.
But I think, with that, it was like within a moment of like, okay, I replaced, hiring you within a week. The client called the very next day I gave my notice. And then I got 4 more clients as a result of it without doing anything. And it was really just sharing what I'm doing and hey, this is what I'm opening it up. And so as a result, it replaced my income, quadrupled it. And it showed me what was possible.
Yeah.
And it showed me that I made the right decision, but not only that how much more work there is to do and how many more people there are to serve. And I think, and since then, right now we're in tax season and doing that other side of my practice. So now it's just, and now getting the website completed and our program completed, and it's just ready. It's just
so good.
I know. Super exciting.
So good. So good. Congratulations. So
thank you.
Robin, what advice would you give to other coaches? So you've been in the coaching industry for a little while. You have a sense of the industry. You and I have talked about the industry a little bit. What advice do you have for coaches that are trying to build their practices right now?
Well, I think too, and again, as a coach, there's always like these courses out there as far as marketing this and digital this and, Facebook ads and all of that. I think for one of the things is keep it simple. And I think that was the beauty of working with you is like, we all get the squirrel syndrome as coaches because we start not seeing the needle moving forward as per se, as we talk about. And then we start trying other things without just being present and just really sticking with the plan. And that things actually do happen when they're supposed to happen. But we try and force it by trying to do all these other things. And really, I think when you get that feeling, and it's a scarcity feeling for sure that comes up, go back to really what it is that you are doing, who it is you want to serve, what is your goal? Because when we start getting into that angst of, oh my gosh, I'm not getting consults or I'm not getting clients coming. I think keep it simple. Don't go, squirrel hunting. I call it squirrel hunting. So don't go squirrel hunting and really go back in and doing the work as far as, okay, who am I? What am I serving? And who are my people? And who can I actually talk to without doing anything else? And, we get so caught up in the process, yet we forget the old-fashioned way of just reaching out, calling people, checking in, and really focusing that it's not about us, that it's really about the clients. And they will come. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I love it. So good. All right, Robin. So where can my listeners find you?
Yeah, easy. I kept it really simple. robinhanover.com. Super easy. Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful website. So we'll have that linked up in the show notes. Robin, it's been such a pleasure to have you on today. I'm so excited to have done this and to have you on the show.
Me too.
It's so fun to be able to do this. And you've done such amazing work. And like I say, with so many of my clients, it's like, this is just the beginning too. And like what you said, what is possible? That really is what this is about, is really serving people at a high level, serving as many people as we can. And I just think you've done a wonderful job with that. And it's going to be so amazing to watch what comes next for you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for getting me out of my own way, because those are my own doubts, is especially in my industry of like, is this going to work? Is this really needed? And I think for you, that's just a tribute to who you are as a coach too, because you were able to gently kind of guide me and just show me that I was stuck in my own limiting beliefs and that there is this huge, huge movement to be created. And so I thank you.
So good. It's going to be so fun. All right. Yeah. You're so welcome. All right.
Thanks,
take care.
All right.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, if you're ready for a real breakthrough in your business and want to grow and scale your business to at least 6 figures or more in annual revenue, I invite you to apply for my exclusive program, The Mastermind, at amandacarlstadcoaching.com/the-mastermind. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Life Coach Business Podcast. If you want to learn more about how to build, grow, and scale your business and accelerate your results, visit amandacarlstadcoaching.com.